which I'm not mad at that people are just throwing mental health out there. At least we're talking about it and realizing how serious it is. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
first thing I want to do is tell everybody, like, how did you get, because I can tell you're passionate about your work, Mylira. Tell everybody, how did you get into social work, mental health? Like what spawned the ambition to go into that field?
Well, believe it or not, it wasn't my choice at first. I wanted to be a teacher, but my mom was a teacher. And when I became a senior in high school, I went through the worst depression ever. So I was great in school academically. I was at one of the top of my class and everything, but school was the last thing on my mind, even though that's what I knew I wanted to do. So when I became a senior, my mom was like, well, you definitely ain't gonna be no teacher. So she put in all these different applications because she realized the school I wanted to go to, which was Spelman, at the time you had to put your application in your junior year. And I didn't do that. So now I'm here, already depressed, can't go to my dream school. My mama told me I can't do my career. So what do I do now? But I am grateful for her, though, because she knew her daughter. And as I was dealing with my own depression, she was researching different career paths that I can go into that she knew I kind of fit in. And one of my mentors, Otelia Ponton Reed, I call her Miss Peaches. I love her to life. She was a social worker. And my mom kept saying, like, I can see you doing what she's doing. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I got to school. I went to Norfolk State. So we hold the green and gold. And as I was sitting in my social work class, I said, yo, they talking about me. Like, I do this on a daily basis. Hold on. You know what's going on? So I literally kind of stumbled into this field. It wasn't something that I chose or knew that I wanted to do. But once I started it, I was like, yeah, this is what I need to do. So when I got to college, I got there a whole year early. So I was 17. So my parents made sure that I was in the upper class dorms and all that, but the depression never went away. So when I was 17, it was at a moment where I felt like I didn't want to live anymore at all. And I remember the night like it was yesterday, and 3 seconds away before I put the solution into my mouth that I made up because I said, look, death is way better than this shit. Like, I'm done. My dad knocked on the door. And in that moment of being hysterical and crying and like, I don't want to live anymore, I looked in the mirror for the first time I saw myself as a human being. Not as this perfect kid that needed to have everything together. Not as this person that need to, have all these good grades. Like when I went to college, I took 19 credit hours my first year. And if anybody know that normally you only take 12, right? 12 to 15. I was taking 19. And at that moment, I said, look, I'm human. And when my dad did that for me, I promised in that moment that I was going to be CPR to other people's goals. So I threw my entire being into my schoolwork, and social work essentially saved my life. And it allowed for me to get into a space where I was like, yo, if I went through this and I had both my parents, if I went through this and I was middle class, if I went through this and I had all this good support and all these other things, I can only imagine what other people who don't have half of what I have, what they're going through. And that's how I stumbled into social work. And I'm passionate about it because, hell, I still have moments. Listen, I could feel what Miss USA was feeling when she did what she did. Like, I know that feeling. And not just when I was 17, but recently. So I get really passionate because people are struggling. And I want to be able to help you understand that if you have a brain, you have a mental health. And if we can start exercising our mental health the same way we exercise our bodies, we can be so way further. So that's why I've thrown myself into this. I got my master's in it in clinical concentration in children and families because I believe that it all starts in the family. It starts in the home. And if we can heal that, we can heal the world. And now I'm going to get my PhD in organizational leadership because I want to be able to change the organization of mental health and how we actually do mental health, how we help people in the mental health realm. So I'm all things social work because, hell, I needed a social worker and didn't even know it growing up.
Wow. You know what? One thing it just hit me when you were talking, Mylira. You said something that was important because I'm listening to you speak about your mother and your father, and you mentioned that, hey, middle class lifestyle. Some people attach, this is what I'm learning, right? Some people attach mental illness, depression. Sometimes they attach it to a certain type of person. Maybe it's a person who doesn't have money. Maybe it's a person who grew up in the hood and had a really abusive lifestyle. I'm just speaking for our people. We classify it like it's based on your economic